Brush we'll use for this shave is this That Darn Rob, and this is the kind of Manchurian type brush that he has. It is it's just been treated the other day with a lather of lanolin soap and left for 24 hours. Let's see if it's softer. Just got it in, and I'm really interested in just kind of shaving with it a few times. I like to submerge. Some people just run water over the brush. I like to do that for badgers and boars just for a few minutes. Today's blade is the one I've been cranking on for quite a while. 92 uses. 50 on this side and 42 dots on that side. Gillette Nacet. Some people say the Nacets don't usually go very far. I don't have a really sparse beard. I'd say maybe it's on a 4, on a scale of 1 to 10. It's not dense. It's not super dense, but it's not sparse either. One of the things to keep it going really far is technique. I guess my technique has gotten good enough. So here's the little sample of Cedar from Southern Witchcrafts. And it's their new base they came out with here in 2018. And it's good stuff. And this will be my second time shaving with it. The first time, something interesting happened. It felt in my fingers as I was touching the lather and adding water, touching to figure out, when to stop. I got to a point where it felt almost too slippery, almost too wet, too watery. So I said, hey, I better stop. Well, then I get it on my face and it's a little too dry. It dries out quickly, causes my razor to kind of drag a little bit. And then in the rinse process, I put water on my face and holy cow, there comes the slickness. So I'm guessing it just wasn't wet enough. And so I'm going to be trying to remember to have a different scale when I judge that slickness. So we'll see what happens. All right. I have taken almost a 1/4 teaspoon and pressed it into the bottom of my lather bowl. And the razor for today, the Nacet, is already in it. This is the aluminum version of the above the tie razor. And this Nacet usually requires more aggressive settings, more aggressive heads, more aggressive razors. And so when I had an ATT razor a while back, I just used the R and that was it. Well, this guy's the H. He's even more aggressive than the R. I had a pretty good shave with it last time. It wasn't super comfortable, but it didn't give me any irritation. But most importantly, the result at the end of the shave was good. So I'm going to give this a try. This is a loaner from a fellow wet shaver. We swapped razors so he could try something that I had. And now I'm going to splash some water on my face. That behavior of feeling a little too thin, it's kind of reminded me of my experience with Williams. And a couple of the secrets with Williams are come to the soap like I am now with a kind of a wet brush, maybe half wet, something like that. And like Williams, look at that bubbly lather that pops up. The other key to Williams for me seemed to be this early lather that you get. Man, you better not shave with that at all. Keep stirring and you'll get to something that's much nicer. Oh, again, there's that good scent. I like that. I really like several of the scents from SW. They are concoctions and they are very innovative, interesting, not really duplicated by anybody. They're using red wine in a couple of their fragrances. And I really think that adds quite a bit of richness to the scent profile. Really happy with several of the things they were doing. And they had really good pricing. Mentioned that yesterday. You know, they weren't trying to, I think it was $12 or $13 for 4 ounces. With their new base, I don't know if they've upped the cost because maybe they're using more expensive ingredients. I'm not really sure. Now, one of the things to watch for is your mixing. Look at that little, looks like a baby's arm or something. Look how rigid that is. I'll shake the bowl and it just kind of barely moves. That is definitely a sign that the lather is too dry. Needs more hydration. So this lather's coming together nicely though. And I'm going to take my syringe here. It's 2 teaspoons. And I'm going to put, yesterday I did a teaspoon at a time because I knew it would use anywhere between 2 and 3 teaspoons of water, or at least that was my guess. And I was kind of right. But I wonder if maybe I added the water a little too quickly. So I'm going to add it by ½ teaspoon. So maybe we'll kind of mix for, you know, 20 seconds or so and then add the next ½ teaspoon. Looks great. Looks like a very good lather. I probably am using a little bit more soap than I did yesterday, so I wouldn't be surprised if the water is higher for that reason as well. The need for water, you know. Another halvesy. Sometimes if you think you've overwatered your lather, keep mixing for a little bit. And what may happen is more and more of the soap comes out of your brush and gets into your lather and combines with the soap. What did I say? The soap finds some more water is what I meant to say. And so then it starts to thicken. So let's show you some of the elasticity issues we have. Now this is still kind of firm. Look how high it's sticking up. Look how it's not moving all that much. It's wiggling a tiny bit. Definitely going to need to add some more water. Some people might look at that and think that it is ready to go. Ooh. Good feeling in my fingers as I'm rinsing that water off. Nice and slick. I'm going to refill my syringe. All right. This is why I like a nice deep bowl. The Captain's Choice large bowl and the fine accoutrements lather bowl are both about this size, but they're about 3/4 of an inch shorter in terms of the wall height here. And as you can see, I'm coming up right to the edge, and so with those I am much more involved in protecting the lather and managing the lather to keep it from overflowing. But with this custom bowl that I had made, that's not a problem. There we go. That looks a little better. Still fairly firm. Not really moving too much. And knowing what happened yesterday, let's go ahead and start adding more. I'm guessing another 2 or 3 ½ teaspoons. Something else that was different yesterday was that I was using a synthetic brush. I wonder sometimes if, you know, that could play into it. Did it get too much air into the lather, so it wasn't able to be quite so dense? This lather's looking very nice. See how it's not gathering up on the sides. It's being more like marshmallow cream or something. When you lift up a kind of a thin wall of lather there and it collapses back in, sometimes that's something to think about, something to look for. And if that's where you like your lather to be, then that can be a good indicator of when to stop adding water. I can't say that I can't tell you what to do, because you may like yours thicker than me or thinner, something like that. But I can tell you a few things to look for to help you, some road signs to help you on your way, right? Little finger test. Yeah, it feels watery. It doesn't feel too creamy. There is a little bit of cushion, a little bit of resistance as I squeeze my fingers together. So let's, knowing what I know from yesterday, let's just try to, let's add another half teaspoon. And so what I learned was perhaps I need to let it feel more slippery than I usually do with most other soaps. And that may or may not be a bad thing about the soap. It may just be a part of the chemistry. You know, some soaps just are going to give you different feels just because of the way they're made. So just because it doesn't give you a creamy feel, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're mixing it wrong. It doesn't necessarily mean that the soap is deficient. The soap looks terrific. And notice how bulbous and free of hills and valleys that the brush here is. Oh, there, look at that stretch. That's a sign. That's a good sign. I believe I achieved that yesterday. So you know what? Let's take it even further. I think, I wonder, and I am supposing this is true, that if you mix a little too fast, there might be some soaps where if you mix too fast, you might introduce more air bubbles in it than is good for a good lather. I haven't been able to tell that for certain. I'll bet this is, oh, you know what? I believe yesterday's water was about 3 1/3 teaspoons. That's a good scent. Also, early in the process, this brush felt like it was suction cupped to the bottom, but now it moves freely and glides nicely. So that's something else you can look for, and you'll eventually probably notice yourself if you're a bowl latherer. Pick up on something like that, but that's another road sign to look out for. And I think we're about done. This soap is taking this water like a champ. Look at that. Yeah. This wall right there, it just fell down. So let's go with this. I'll rinse my face one more time. As usual, I'm dealing with hard water, cold water in this case, and 24 hours worth of growth. So let's see. I'm also interested in how this brush does. smooth. Those tips are going to soften up a little bit. It does have quite a bit of a brush material in the center that tends to shove and poke me around. I hope that relaxes a bit as the splay increases and the usages increase. Right now I think it does a pretty good job of scrubbing, especially handy in that first pass. So let's just see how it looks in terms of slickness and all that. One trait I look at is the furrows on my neck as I do this. If they're gloopy and gloppy and splotchy, chunky if you will, then it's too thick usually with most soaps. But if if it's fairly opaque, and the little ridges made by the brush as it goes down, if they hold on, a lot of times, then that means it's not too thin. You do expect thick wet edges on, the jawline here and on this bottom, because that's just where the excess goes. So right now this lather looks pretty good. It smells great. Yeah. I need to study up on this scent, because I swear they put something else in there like sandalwood or something. I'm really liking it. It adds a little extra dimension, depth to it, texture. One great thing I love about this aluminum razor, this bamboo handle, I tried the Razor Rock version of it. It was a polished stainless steel handle with another razor. Didn't like it at all. It was too slippery. I don't like the look of the bamboo design here, but it was just, there was too many slippages going on with it. And while I still don't really care for the design, the aesthetics of this, because it's a matte version or a machined version, it's not polished. It's got these little micro ridges. You can hear if I put this up to the microphone, and those help to really give you great grip. I had excellent grip throughout my whole shave, even when wet and soapy. So I really like that. It's a very practical aspect. Another thing I found out with this light razor is that you kind of have to push it through the hair, because you don't have that momentum of a harder razor, a heavier razor. You kind of have to be your own weight. But then once you're past that first pass, then it's very smooth and nice and nimble and all that stuff. So maybe you saw what I did on my jawline there. I thought of the jawline here as kind of a line, and I'm not actually trying to go down the actual ridge of the jawline with my razor. I just thought of it as I'm going right next to it here as I do my cheek area, and then I come up to that point when I'm doing this bottom part with small buffing strokes, and I did the same thing over here. I saw a post somewhere yesterday that said that the guy wondered how to do his jawline. And I found that I definitely did not want to, just come at it right on the corner, with the full 90-degree angle of the blade coming center there. And I think I picked that tip off years ago from somebody, where you just think of it as just kind of stay in this zone here and just kind of move over to the edge as you're shaving, and then just stay down in this zone here and then come to the edge, and you will meet there without really putting a lot of focus on the corner. All right, I did feel a little bit of drag on this. Let's see how this slickness feels as I rinse it off. All right, not a lot of slickness, but a little bit. Sometimes, even with other good soaps, I do experience that. I have oily skin, so it might take that first pass to get the oils out of my skin. This one, I'm kind of bringing in a little bit more soap than I might want to, just to kind of try to soften the hairs and the way they feel on my skin. As you can see, we have tons of lather around the brush. Definitely going to end up with plenty of lather at the end of this shave. So that's kind of cool. It means that likely don't need to do the full 1/4 teaspoon. This was a touch less anyway, so you could go even further. All right. Yeah, so let's pay attention to that jawline again. So I'm gonna just kind of mainly think about doing the bottom part of the cheek there. I'm going cross grain. And now I just kind of, again, go to the bottom part. And you see that's got me actually past that center point of the curve. I've got a fat face to some degree, and so that helped too. And so again, all I did was think about staying in the cheek zone, but going down as far as the bottom of that. Also, sometimes when you're trying to do the jawline, if you're trying to go around, you know, then that's tough because it's difficult to keep that exact angle as you're going around if you want to come at it crossways. So I prefer this kind of stroke there first, and now you can see that, and here I actually usually, because of the direction of my hair, I'll do a slant motion like this, and there we go. And now my jawline is cut. On this other side, kind of the same thing, kind of like that. It's one of those that I do by memory, and muscle memory now. It's not really something I think about. Still getting some drag on this. Not stretching my neck a lot. Just enough to kind of keep the skin from being loose. All right, third pass, right? All right, third pass, right? So now that the brush has really got a bunch of lather in it, I'm not experiencing as much pushing and shoving like I did that first pass. Hoping that's something that will go away over time, even during the first pass. All right. Now, third pass. You might have noticed I did my cheeks in the with the grain direction because they just get a great shave no matter what. So I just do something nice and easy going right there. And there we go. Definitely smoother on the third pass. Smoother in terms of the movement of the razor. Didn't have as much drag. I guess I should have said slicker. And rinse time. And by the way, last night, pretty much no post-shave product at all. My face was fine. I do have oily skin. It gives me a little advantage in that regard, but nothing at all. No drying feeling in the face that caused a need for it. Face felt comfortable. Excellent. No irritation developed at all either. So that was the third pass, and the cut looks pretty good. Pretty either average to above average for me, even compared to younger blades. I've got a 93 use blade in there now. So let's do my neck only pass now. Big old whiff of that nice lather. And yes, the rinsing after that third pass was much creamier, much more luxurious feeling than the previous two rinses. So we're getting there. Also, note that I'm holding it in a very small footprint. In a way of speaking, I don't have my fingers touching all the way from the top to the bottom, a nice wide grip. I don't want that. That gives me less leverage. I don't want leverage. And so sometimes I'm holding it down here. I'm not really focused too much because of the weight here. I can kind of hold it wherever I want. Usually with heavier razors, I have to be kind of right at the center of balance for the razor. But this guy's so light, I can hold it down here and I can have great reach. I can see what I'm doing. Also, this just hit me. I can have a lighter touch on the blade because I just don't have as much leverage from down here. The higher you go, closer to the blade, the more leverage you have, even if you're being careful. And so for that extra light touch, if that's what you're going on, and say, look, I've got a pencil grip on it and it's only grabbing in one of the sections right here. And so I've got no leverage, which is great because it will keep that razor from digging in if I misestimate where a curve goes, or a hill or a bump. It makes the razor unable to press in very hard at all, and that's kind of what you want. Now I'm going to look in here and maybe see if I can hit those trouble spots again if I see any stray hairs. I do feel a little raw down there. I mean, just a little bit. And so that makes me hesitate just a touch. But lots of the area right there in my trouble zone has been cut nice and flush. And that's a very above average situation for me. So I'm happy with that. Can't go against the grain. My skin just, I don't know if my hair just lays too close to the skin, but it just feels like I'm ripping myself apart. Big case of razor burn, probably some nicks if I try to do it. I think what happens is the hairs lift the skin up into the razor blade. Crazy. Rinse. So sure, I do see a few hairs here with a little bit of length on them. But by and large, it's been shaved very nicely. Like I said, above average. Face feels no irritation. Let's put a little alcohol aftershave splash on there. This does have other cool beneficial things like witch hazel, aloe, things like that. It does have menthol. Hopefully that's not too bad. little bit of stingy burn, and now it's pretty much gone. And now I believe what I might be about to feel is the burn of the menthol. For me, menthol often feels more like a burning sensation than a cooling one. But I want to try this one more time. This is Henri and Victoria Cognac and Cuban cigars. I love this soap. Really good one from them. And so I managed to grab a hold of the aftershave. But yeah, oh man, dang it, I'm gonna have to pass this on to somebody else. Just got it's whatever it is, it bothers my skin, just irritates me. Not a cooling effect at all, not refreshing. I love the scent though, dang it. Well, that blows. All right, so how much water did I use up this time? 3.5 teaspoons was added. And if you remember, I came in with a lightly wet brush, maybe medium light. So that water also came into the mix as well. Slightly less than 1/4 teaspoon of soap was all that was needed. How much excess do I have? Looks like this might be an economical soap as well, not requiring as much product as some of the others. But plenty of lather here. I'd say 3 passes, 4 maybe, something like that. So it's a very good, efficient, economical soap. Again, the kind of the residual slickness is not very high. Face does not have, I don't know what soap ingredients allow for that, to where you can be done shaving for 30 seconds and still kind of slip your fingers along your face without any problem. Right now, lots of drag, and even just right after the shave, that's just the way it is. Now, maybe that's the way they designed it. I'm not saying it's good or bad. It's just the way it is. Some people may like more of that residual slickness, but also what it means is it's probably a little bit easier to rinse at the end of the shave instead of spending so much time trying to get that slickness off. And still a little bit of stinging from the menthol. Dang it. So I had great post-shave feel before I put that part on. Fortunately, the menthol will stop in 5-10 minutes or something like that. So I'm going to clean up. So while this lather, I'm kind of sleepy, so if my eyes start closing, you'll know why. This lather was slicker than what I experienced yesterday. Definitely from what I started off with yesterday. But I still think maybe the lather is the culprit with the dragging. I don't know if it's the razor. I guess it could be. But there's such a small contact patch there. I don't think it is. And because the skin dries out so quick after moving along with this lather, I'm thinking it's probably the lather. So what I'm going to do is get one of my stainless steel guys that maybe has a lot of glide usually. Let's use him tomorrow and see how the experience changes, if at all. The scent, wonderful as usual. The cut, excellent. Very happy with that. The razor blade, comfortable, irritation free. I did feel just a little tender on that third pass, but I don't feel it anymore. It was short-lived. 93 down. In past, I have occasionally dabbled and tried another younger razor with another razor, just because I've been using this Nacet for so long. If a certain razor is brand new to me, I want to stick a young blade in there just to try it out and remember how that feels. But now that I'm in the 90s, no, we're not going to skip any. Every use is going to be with this Nacet until we hit 100. Probably not until I hit 101. I'm confident I'll be able to, not by any virtue of my own, but just the way my hair works. It's kind of coarse. It's wiry. But apparently, thanks to a bunch of guys online, I've gathered some good technique. Just, you know, the basics, just pressure, angle, you know, those kind of things. It's nothing. There's no secret. I'm not stropping the blade, doing anything with it afterwards. I'm not dipping it in alcohol. For the first month, I just left it in the razor. Didn't even take it out. And so now I don't even prep my skin beforehand. A lot of people say that's key. And maybe for them it is. And who knows, maybe I would get a better shave if I had done all the skin prep that they are doing. But anyway, so I think we're good. The menthol is gone, and so I'm now able to enjoy that nice scent of the Cognac and Cuban cigars. So I think we're good. I hope there was something here that helped you out. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Take care. Good night.